times did you have sex with this friend of his?
Multiple times. My godmother, we used to be on the porch, like just when she was doing people's hair, we used to be on the porch. She was like, you pregnant, you pregnant. I used to be like, stop jinxing me. And one day I went to the clinic and I found out I was 5 months pregnant.
What was once a romantic teenage love is now a legal case. Miss Whitaker summons Mr. Schruel, her teenage lover and ex-boyfriend, to court to prove that he's Brinley's father. She believes he's having doubts about fathering her 2-year-old baby due to his mother. Is the defendant truly a mama's boy? Let's find out together.
Ms. Whitaker, you've summoned Mr. Schruel to court to prove that he is the father of 2-year-old daughter Brinley. You say that Mr. Schruel has doubt only because of his conniving, and you want him to man up and take care of his responsibilities. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Schruel, you claim you are not Brinley's father, and once you prove your case,
As the hearing commences, the young lady says she believes his mother is the reason behind him rejecting her baby because he's a mama's boy. Hilariously, he confirms that he's indeed a mama's boy. Also, he admits that there were times his mother did interfere in their relationship, but it was to protect him. Okay, this is interesting.
He's a mama's boy. She has never done anything but come in between our relationship. Even when we were having fights in our relationship, she was always in the middle of it. It was never just me and him, it was me, him, and his mom.
are you a mama's boy, Mr. Schruel?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
I know that's right. Say it loud and proud. So do you believe your mother has come in between your relationship with Miss Whitaker?
Miss Whitaker tells the court that their relationship was beautiful when it started. Both of their parents were okay with the young couple spending nights together. At one point, Mr. Schruel and his mom moved in with her and her mom. Both parents were aware that their kids were having sex several times a day and had dropped out of junior high school. Sounds like babies having babies, right? Let's dig in for more.
When you started dating, your parents let you spend the night together?
Yes.
At each other's homes?
Yes. At one point, we were completely living together. Him and his mother moved into my house with me and my mother. And
What? They moved into the house with you and your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
And you all were having sex and both mothers knew it?
Yes.
I've never heard of such.
Their relationship became sour when Miss Whitaker's mom passed away and she was moved to a foster home. When she turned 18, she went to live with her parents' family, and that drove them further apart. The young man claims she always accused him of cheating even though he was faithful to her. He would respond saying she accused him because she had a guilty conscience. Eventually, she confessed that she cheated on him.
What had happened? Her mom had passed away.
Okay.
And she got put in a foster home, and once she turned
Okay.
18, she went with family.
I'm sorry to hear that, Miss Whitaker.
Thank
Very
you.
sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And so at that time, you all were separated. You were no longer living together.
I was fed up with it. I was getting constant cheating, and I never once cheated on her.
The young woman claims her alleged baby father is hiding the truth. According to her, when her mom died, she was a few months away from clocking 18 and was at a foster home for a few months. Once she was 18, she moved in with her religious aunt, who gave her a tough time because she was pregnant. Also, Mr. Schruel's mom wouldn't allow him to accompany her to the doctor's appointments.
Did you admit it, Miss Whitaker?
Yes, I did. First, Your Honor. No, that's not how all of this happened. That's not how we separated.
Okay, let me hear your side of it.
When my mother died, I got taken into DHR custody. I was only 17. I was 8 months from being 18. Anyway, they put me with my aunt, and me and Christian were fighting all the time. I was hormonal. I was pregnant. His mother refused to let him come to my doctor's appointments.
Mrs. Schruel steps upon the podium and claims that she wasn't against their relationship, but was never okay with them having sex at a tender age. She says their sexual exercises started at the late Mrs. Whitaker's home, which was against her satisfaction, and she never allowed them to do so in her house.
Schruel's mother, give
Because
your side of the story.
Them staying together and sleeping together was never okay with me. This started at her house, and I begged her mother, please don't let this happen. It's not happening at my house. Y'all are too young for this kind of relationship. Her mother couldn't do anything with her.
In addition to her testimony, Mrs. Schruel says she doubts if Brinley is her granddaughter because Miss Whitaker confessed to her 7 times that she slept with other men. But the young woman denies she ever told her that, and she only slept with one other man before she got pregnant.
The baby was your grandchild?
I did because my son believed.
No, you didn't. You told me from the
was.
beginning that's not his child.
Not until she admitted to me 7 times that she cheated.
7 times cheating?
Yes, she told me there were 7 possibilities.
7
Oh,
possible
God. Oh, my Lord.
other fathers?
To back her claims of Mr. Schruel being the father of her kid, she provides the court with her conception date on a calendar. She marked each day she had sex with her alleged baby father and the man she cheated on him with. Also, she provided a sonogram that confirms the day she conceived.
Until August 30th. My mom didn't die until August 28th. I think I would remember this. This is why I remember this so clearly, because it was the most traumatic traumatic event I'd been through.
You show that you had sex with Mr. Schroll all of these days, but then you had sex with another man somewhere around the 14th.
Yes.
You also have the 8th circle. Explain this.
However, Mr. Schrull doesn't agree with her claims. Also, he adds that he found out that she slept with other men besides the man she confessed about. How did he find out? He says his mom told him because Miss Whitaker confessed to her. If she indeed slept with other men, would she trust her boyfriend's mother enough to tell her about it? There's more to this than it meets the eye.
It came out to me after she was pregnant. It came out that there are more than one possibility.
When did this come out?
This came out when she was maybe 3-4 months pregnant.
How did it come out?
She told her.
And that's a load of crap.
Y'all just having sex. Y'all know what you doing.
Exactly.
You have no clue. Just kids engaging in adult activity.
The day Brinley was born, Mr. Schrull claims he wanted to be at the hospital, but Miss Whitaker's boyfriend threatened him over the phone. However, she cuts in saying her boyfriend never threatened him. Also, her boyfriend signed the birth certificate. Now this is getting interesting.
Talk all big over the phone and say how he's gonna kick my butt and all
My
this.
boyfriend never threatened you at
Wait a
all.
minute. When did we
Yeah,
get a
he-
boyfriend?
After we had separated, I had started dating someone else.
Are you on the birth certificate?
No,
No,
ma'am.
I go there. He cuts the umbilical cord. He's on
He
the
didn't
birth
even cut the
certificate.
umbilical cord.
The
One-
boyfriend's name's on the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
If Brinley isn't her boyfriend's baby, why let him sign the birth certificate? But could Mr. Schrull be the baby's biological father? Let's find out together.
Mr. Schroll, you are her father.
I am. I apologize for everything. I really do. I'm sorry I put you through this.
I'm just so happy after 2 years, you finally know you can finally start being there.
And I will be.
Give her a hug.
Would you be willing to give me a hug?
Can I give you a hug, Lindsay, please?
How does one believe that his father could be responsible for his girlfriend's pregnancy? That's the subject of today's case as Mrs. Marsh sues her ex, Mr. Belding, for having doubts about the paternity of her daughter, Jordan. The defendant, however, requests a lie detector test to determine the extent of his ex-girlfriend's relationship with his father. Let's find out if Mr. Belding is right about his bizarre accusations.
Mr. Belding and his mother have made false accusations about the paternity of your 3-year-old daughter, Jordan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Belding, you're here with your mother. You claim little Jordan's biological father may be your own father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Whoa. So you've also petitioned the court for a lie detector test for Ms. Marsh to determine the extent.
As the hearing commences, the accuser clarifies that she didn't live with the defendant's father alone, but with her mom. Also, she adds that he slept in a different room from where her and mom slept.
Excuse me, Your Honor, it was with me and my mom, as a matter of fact, and he slept in a totally different room. It was a 3-bedroom house. We never
was the
slept in
first
same
house.
room.
Yeah.
And
There's
we've
been
always had
several.
more than 3 rooms.
Okay, but I have to ask, Ms. Marsh, out of all the places you could live,
He had nowhere to go. Literally, I asked his sister, and his sister said, no, I'm not going to let
So,
a
Mr.
man I
Bell-
call my dad.
Mr. Belding tells the court that several of his friends in Indiana told him they had slept with Miss Marsh. Is this enough to make him believe she slept with his dad? Also, another man did a paternity test on Jordan a while ago before the court hearing, but the results showed she isn't his. Perhaps Mr. Belding has enough reasons to believe he's not the baby's father. Well, there is no other way to find out.
you're not the biological father of her child.
Just when I moved back to Indiana, there was a bunch of my friends that had said she had slept with them after she had
Excuse me.
slept with me.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Excuse
No,
me
that's
too,
not
Your
it.
Honor. She's
That's
already
not
had
it.
one man tested before Zach.
I didn't have him tested. He had her tested. I told him not to
Because
do
she
it.
told us that it was a
I still have-
possibility to begin
I have
with.
all the proof of that. I know who the father of my daughter is, and it is this man right here.
The atmosphere in the courtroom gets turned up when Mr. Belding says if she believes he's the baby's father, why have another man sign the birth certificate? However, defending herself, Miss Marsh defends herself presenting the birth certificate, and it isn't signed by anyone. The accuser and the defendant started dating in high school and were both 14 at that time. Although the relationship went on for years, it was off and on.
If she thinks I'm the father, why did she have another man sign the birth certificate?
Excuse me, ma'am. I have the birth certificate. I have the birth certificate right here. No other man on
Okay,
this
can I
birth
say it's
certificate.
because she lies to us all the time?
Jerome,
We don't
let
know
me
what
see
to
that
believe.
birth certificate.
There's no other
Okay,
man
because
on
she's
this
such a
birth
liar.
certificate.
While I'm looking at this birth certificate.
Yes, ma'am.
Met in high school
14 years old.
at 14.
Yes.
The young woman got pregnant when she moved to Georgia to live with the young man and his dad as she wanted to join join the military. Mr. Belding cuts in saying he was surprised to see her because he had no idea his dad had called her to come over. Afterward, his dad left him in Georgia to go live with the accuser. However, she defends herself saying he had nowhere else to go.
So it was off and on for years.
Sexual thing.
But during this time you were together, that's when you got pregnant.
Yeah.
No.
It was after I had moved to Georgia to live with him and his dad to
And
join
that-
the military.
That was totally a surprise too. I didn't know she was coming.
Her dad,
My dad
did
had
that.
called her down.
Zachary didn't want nothing to do with her. His dad sent
It's
for her
funny
down
because
there.
I still have messages on my mom's phone from him saying, "Baby, I can't wait till you get here."
This case keeps getting better and better as the accuser and the defendant and his mother were firing shots at each other. But is Mr. Belding Jordan's biological father? If he's not, could his father be responsible for her? Let's unravel the truth together.
Mr. Belding Sr., you are not Jordan's father.
Thank you.
Mr. Belding Jr., you are her father.
Thank you.
That's my baby, not yours.
Think so.
Mine.
You think
Stay
so?
right here.
Mine.
Stay right
Think
here.
so.
I got rights now.
Yes, you do, sir.
Oh yeah.
When you allow 14-year-old kids the license to have sexual relationships, expect babies to have babies. Today's case has Miss Shands suing Mr. Amir Hollis regarding the paternity of her 15-month-old son, Aiden. But the defendant and his mom, Mrs. Hollis, are in court to testify against the accuser's claims. Let's dig in to find out if the young woman is right about her claims.
Here in court today because you are devastated that your first love and the person you lost your virginity to is now denying your 15-month-old son, Aiden. You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you hope you two can finally be a family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hollis says he doubts if he's the baby's daddy because he caught the young lady cheating on him multiple times. However, Miss Shands defends herself saying she was close with his friend because he once told her Mr. Amir was cheating on her with a friend of hers.
And so, Mr. Hollis, tell the court why you say she's a pathological liar.
I caught this Irish cheating so many times, like it don't make no sense. Like it just after middle school, like after when we hit high school, everything was going straight like her freshman year. But after that, like when we had got into that one argument, we broke up and then that was that. And she started messing with my homeboy and she started messing with multiple people.
The accuser claims she slept with one of her ex-boyfriend's friends because he slept with hers. Well, this sounds like some classic revenge sex. Defending her son, Mrs. Hollis says he had noticed something fishy about the accuser's friendship with her son's best friend while they were dating. She adds that she called her son's attention to it, but he didn't see anything wrong with their friendship at that time.
But I thought it was cool to go mess with one of his friends because he had slept with one of mine. We both had made a mistake.
No.
We both made
no,
a mistake.
that's not how it
I
is.
admit
No
that.
one
That's
knew
not how it
both.
is.
All right.
And this is really what went on. All of them would be at my house every weekend. His friend, that's the other guy that she messed around with, and they would be there all the time.
Miss Shands tells the court she didn't use protection when she cheated on Mr. Hollis multiple times and they started dating. During these intimate moments, she and the defendant had broken up. Eventually, she found out that she was 5 months pregnant.
And then how many times did you have sex with this friend of his?
Multiple times.
Multiple times. But were you also still being intimate with Mr. Hollis?
No, we had
broke up. When me and his friend had an affair, we wasn't together. We was not together at all.
An affair. So eventually you find out you're pregnant. Take me to that day.
My guy.
While she was dating the defendant's friend, she cheated on him with the defendant as well. Now, this is getting more interesting. After she got pregnant, she told the Hollis family that there could be a possibility that Mr. Amir could be her baby's father.
When she was going with my friend, she was still sneaking around with me anyway because I felt like he did it to me, so y'all together, I'm finna go and do what I gotta do.
Yes, okay, yeah, that did happen as well.
So you were sleeping with both boys at the same time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you find out you're pregnant. You tell the other guy first. What was his response?
Well, he was happy.
And so you also tell Mr. Hollis?
I told him like...
On the day of Aiden's delivery, Mr. Hollis's friend, whom she left him for, was with her at the hospital. However, the defendant didn't know she was in labor until the last minute.
When you give birth, who was with you?
The friend was with me when Aiden was born.
In the hospital?
In the hospital. In labor.
In labor.
And my mom, I sent my mom there because I knew there was a possibility that my son could be the dad as well. He favored my son when he was born.
So wait, and so Mr. Hollis, you just didn't want to be there or you felt like you weren't invited?
I wasn't never invited. Like anything I ever found out about the baby, I found out by myself. Like
Miss Shands claims she believes Mr. Amir Hollis is her baby's father because they look more alike than the other guy in the picture. Also, Mr. Hollis says she FaceTimed her after the baby was born and confirmed that he looks like her son.
My baby had more futures than him than the other guy.
Yes, he did.
More
He
features.
looked
I'm just
nothing
trying
like
to
the
protect
other
my
guy
son
at all.
I FaceTimed her and told her that it looked like I said, Aiden looks like Amir.
And what did she say, Mom?
It's a possibility.
It's difficult to tell who Aiden's biological father is when two young men had sex with his mom multiple times. That's why we need to hear the results of the DNA test.
Mr. Hollis, you are not the father. I see tears in your eyes, Miss Shan, because I know how desperately you wanted Mr. Hollis to be Aiden's biological father. Their families formed a bond with your son, but unfortunately now we know the truth.
Yes.
You're a beautiful young woman, but I do not like the way you've been operating.
From teenage best friends to teenage lovers to lawsuits, this young couple have been through it all. Miss Lohman is suing Mr. Mitchell, her fiance, for the paternity of her daughter, London. The defendant, however, has doubts of him being the baby's biological father, and if he's not, their upcoming wedding is off. Oh dear. This is how the court case went.
Ms. Lohman, you are in court today hoping and praying your fiance, Mr. Mitchell, is the biological father of your daughter, London, and you and your mother are here to prove it. You say today's DNA results will determine the future of your family together. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Apparently, Mr. Mitchell's doubts about being London's biological father surfaced when the accuser admitted that there's a possibility that he isn't the baby's father.
I don't think she is.
But you've
Everything
also told him
points
that
to her.
she's not, so...
No, I have never actually told Jonathan that he was not. I told him there was a possibility that he might not be, but I have never for sure told him he hasn't been.
So talk to me about the nature of your relationship.
We met when we were sophomores in high school. Junior year, we had a lot of classes together, so we became really good friends.
When their relationship started, Miss Lohman had a boyfriend, and the defendant was living with her and her parents. Although she tried to shut him off when he made advances towards her, she couldn't because she fell in love with him whilst having a boyfriend. Did she break up with the boyfriend after her relationship with Mr. Mitchell started? I guess we will find out soon enough.
Boyfriend at the time.
He moves in, and then what happened?
After about 2 months of him living with me and my family, we were sitting on the couch one day just talking, and he kissed me. And I told him, you know, I have a boyfriend, we can't do this. And he just kind of shrugged it off and said, okay.
Okay, so at that point, Mr. Mitchell was just your friend?
Yes, Your Honor. About a week after that, we were in the pool, and we were swimming under the water, and he kissed me under the water, and I came up.
According to Miss Lohman, the dude she was dating before her romantic relationship with the defendant started didn't know they had a thing going on. The accuser was sleeping with both men, and although the other man knew nothing of this, Mr. Mitchell was well aware 9F what he got into. The other man, now her ex-boyfriend, believed that he was London's biological father until they broke up and he
shipped with this boyfriend at the time. Am I correct, Ms. Lohman?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what was that situation like?
He never found out, and to this day, he still doesn't know.
He does not know to this day that you were also sleeping with Mr. Mitchell?
Right, Your Honor.
Was this just a one-time thing when you all ended up having sex, or did it continue?
It continued.
Were you using protection?
No, Your Honor.
disappeared. When the defendant found out that the accuser was pregnant, he wasn't sure of what to think. He didn't know for sure if he's the baby's daddy or not. Miss Lohman claims she was still dating her ex when she told Mr. Mitchell about the possibility of him being her baby.
So, Mr. Mitchell, do you remember finding out Miss Lohman was pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you found that out, what were you thinking?
I didn't know what to think. I didn't know if it was mine or his.
At that point, were you all dating now, you and Ms. Lohman?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor. We were not dating at the time. I told him there was a possibility. I was still with my ex at the time.
His father. The young woman says she believes the baby is the defendant's because she had more sex with him when the pregnancy was conceived than her ex. Does she understand that this isn't a numbers game? I doubt that.
I had went to the doctor and confirmed that I was pregnant, and then on my second doctor's appointment, I asked, do you have an estimate of when I conceived, because I can't tell you the exact date. And she told me I conceived somewhere between October 12th and October 22nd. And I got to looking back at dates, and I had sex with Mr. Mitchell more times than I had sex with my ex. I had sex with Mr. Mitchell about every day and only once or twice with my ex.
Now we understand why Mr. Mitchell doubts if he's London's biological father. But are his doubts correct? How do we know if he's the baby daddy or the other guy? There's only one way to find out.
Mr. Mitchell, you are not the father. Miss Lohman, I can tell that was not the news you were expecting to hear.
No, Your Honor.
Are we certain? Is your ex London's biological father, or is there another possibility that we just have not spoken about yet?
No, Your Honor, there is no other possibility.
Today we have a 19-year-old woman named Celeste who's trying to prove that the defendant, David Hayslip, is her real father. Celeste grew up believing David was her dad, but he's been absent for most of her life. Now she wants answers and is hoping the DNA test will finally give her the closure she needs.
You are seeking a DNA test to prove that Mr. Hayslip, the defendant, is your biological father. You've believed he is your biological father for many years, yet you say he has never allowed you into his life. You acknowledge that your mother may have had sexual relations with multiple men at the time of your conception, but you claim you were always told that Mr. Hayslip was your father. You've brought your aunt along here today for moral support.
Turns out, David had no idea Celeste even existed until the cops pulled him over and told him he owed child support. Can you imagine? Just minding your own business, driving down the road, and then bam, you're suddenly a dad. David claims the timeline doesn't add up, saying he only knew Celeste's mom for a month, but Celeste was born a couple months later.
You are also asking Ms. Hayslip to change her last name so that she no longer has yours after today's test results are revealed.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Hayslip, when did you first hear that Ms. Hayslip is potentially your daughter?
I had moved from southern Michigan to northern Michigan. I was on my way back, about a 200-mile trip to southern Michigan. I was pulled over for speeding.
But Celeste's aunt, Susie, has a different story. She says she's been trying to get David to acknowledge Celeste for years, even bringing her to a family gathering once, but he refused to accept her. Ouch, that's gotta sting. Susie's convinced Celeste is David's daughter, and she's here to support her niece in finding out the truth, once and for all.
The timeline's off, you know, there's no way. It's off by at least 2 months. I had only seen her mother for maybe a month.
And you submitted those dates to the court in the form of a calendar of sorts. So, according to this calendar, you were intimate with Ms. Hayslip's mother in October and November.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, David's daughter, Courtney, takes the stand, and she's not exactly thrilled about the idea of having a long-lost sister. She's worried Celeste might be a bad influence on her other siblings, since Courtney's had a few run-ins with the law herself. Yikes, talk about family drama. It's clear there's a lot of tension and mistrust going on here.
I kept asking her and asking her and asking her to let me know Celeste, get to know her. She denied me. She wouldn't let me get to know her.
Really?
Yes. And then finally, after several months, she finally set it up to where that I could meet Celeste. My first impression of her, I thought she looked a lot like me when I was little. And we had a bond that we had connected, and then we started getting close, and then her mother...
The judge tries to calm the situation, reminding everyone that none of us are perfect, and it's never too late for a fresh start. She encourages David to open his heart and get to know Celeste, his potential daughter, but David's still hesitant, saying he doesn't even want Celeste to have his last name if she turns out to be his kid. Ouch, that's a pretty harsh stance.
You kept it from how long?
Till she
I told him the truth.
Yeah.
So there was no time in between where you mentioned,
To my
well,
children?
this could possibly be an issue.
No.
And then you found out this girl that's in my class could be my sister.
Yeah.
Wow.
The moment of truth has arrived, and the judge reads the results. Drum roll, please.
Mr. Hayslip, you are her father. Well, at least now we know your money spent was not in. And you have a beautiful young lady over here that the name she carries is in fact her rightful name.
That has changed my mind.
We've got an 11-year relationship on the rocks, a wedding that got called off, and some serious doubts about the paternity of a 7-month-old baby. Let's dive in and see what went down.
Ms. Greenhouse, you summoned Mr. Thompson to court for a DNA test for your 7-month-old son, G.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim he has neglected his responsibilities as a father since you called off the wedding last month.
Yes, Your Honor.
Additionally, you were also suing Mr. Thompson for $750, the amount of the down payment you put on a vehicle for him.
Yes, Your Honor.
The drama starts when Kristen Greenhouse drags her ex, Gregory Thompson, into court, demanding a DNA test for their son, G. Kristen claims Gregory has been neglecting his responsibilities as a father ever since she called off their wedding a month ago, but Gregory isn't having it.
After 11 years, you just figured that out?
No, it's like, no, we were together for 11 years off and on, but I had my 4-year-old son, right? I went off to college. Right after I had my 4-year-old son, I got pregnant, and we tried to make it work there. In between the 4 years that after my son was born, we tried off and on, and it still hasn't worked out, and I just finally got tired of it. Every time I turn around is, you messing with this person, you're sleeping with this person. But Greg dropped me off at work everywhere I go. He has my phone. He dropped me off and picked me up.
Things really start to heat up when Gregory's mom, Susan, also questions the paternity of G. She says the baby doesn't even look like her son, and she's got some serious doubts. Kristen tries to explain their 11-year on and off relationship, but Gregory's not having it. He claims Kristen was always accusing him of cheating, and that's what led to their constant breakups.
She was still having sex with multiple partners.
That's a lie. You asked me who did I have sex. It was never multiple partners.
It's not a lie.
Come at me like,
it's
who
not
did
a lie. What I do?
2 weeks
What
prior,
I do?
Then we had sex. I
My
had
bad,
sex with
Mom.
somebody else.
What I do? I went through your phone. I went through your
2 weeks
Facebook.
prior.
It ain't no 2 weeks.
She testified 2 weeks before, and you're questioning that time frame? If so, how?
Like I said, around that time, we wasn't together. We was seeing each other a little cordially here and there, but not really.
The back and forth between these two is intense. Kristen says she stuck with Gregory for all those years because she loved him, but Gregory argues that she only stayed because of their older son, SJ. He insists he was the one trying to hold the family together, not Kristen.
Eight out of the 11, every time I brought this back together. And she used to say it then, you only with me, or you only try to keep this together because of SJ, which is my first boy. And
that's a lie. That's a lie.
Man, look at here. Like I said,
we was only together because of SJ.
This is what you told me multiple times. You don't really want to be with me, Greg. You only with me because of SJ.
I told you that.
Kristen brings in her sister Chante as a witness, and she testifies that she heard Gregory refuse a DNA test when G was born. But Gregory denies this, saying he never turned down a test. The judge is clearly getting frustrated with all the he said, she said.
These are the main ones who helped you draw your relationship to the ground.
What do they got to do with it? You keep living in the past.
I'm not living in
You are.
I'm moving on, baby. I'm trying to figure out if G is mine.
Greg, and so you say her family has interfered. How?
When we in the dirt and we struggling, we come up on a little here and there.
Things really start to boil over when Gregory brings up the fact that Kristen has helped her family out financially over the years, but he claims she never does the same for him. Kristen fires back, saying she's the one who's always helping Gregory and his family when they're struggling. The judge has to step in and shut them both up before it gets out of hand.
Around that time, like I said, she was talking to multiple guys, and she's admitted. And then, like I said, from jump, not
Before
to go
we had
back,
this,
she
like
said,
I told you, I
she
had
said a
sexual
week.
intercourse with somebody else.
Everything
2
hit
weeks.
the fan.
2 weeks.
It was a wrap.
No, 2 weeks.
What do you mean? When you say when everything hit the fan, it was a wrap.
When we start breaking up or problems start.
The judge tries to get the focus back on the paternity issue, but Gregory just can't let go of his suspicions. He tells the court that his older son, SJ, has even said that Gregory isn't his real dad. The judge is clearly exasperated, telling Gregory to be more respectful to the women in his life.
This is not the first time it came up when she contacted
Your Honor,
you.
he
This is
said
not
that
the first time I said something in the hospital.
Mr. Thompson,
when we was living together.
did you help choose the name?
I did it. Yeah, I chose the name. I came up with
and
it.
you were at the hospital when G was born?
I've been with her the whole time she's pregnant.
And you signed the birth certificate?
Yes.
Finally, the moment of truth arrives. The DNA test results are in, and the judge is ready to reveal whether Gregory is really G's father.
Mr. Thompson, you are the father. You are the father.
I feel more relief.
For what? And you knew this from jump.
I didn't.
You knew this from jump.
You knew I had doubts from jump.
Everyone's entitled to their beliefs or doubt, but my whole thing is like, don't doubt my son when I break up with you because you're disrespectful.
Miss Reed claims the father of her 3-month-old son, Keandre, is Miss Campbell's deceased son, but Miss Campbell is not having it. She says she's never even heard of Miss Reed before her son's tragic death. This is gonna be a wild ride, folks.
Ms. Reed, you say the father of your 3-month-old son, Keandre, was tragically murdered early this year. You claim his mother, Miss Campbell, is the biological grandmother, and you are here to prove it today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Reed explains that family means everything to her, since she never got to meet her own dad. She's desperate to prove Miss Campbell is Keandre's grandma, but Miss Campbell is worried about getting too attached in case the DNA doesn't match up. Yikes, the tension is already through the roof. You can tell these two ladies have been through a lot.
I understand.
Miss Campbell, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
All of you. And I know this is very difficult. You say you're being cautious.
Yes.
Can you tell the court why you feel that way?
I love all babies, don't get me wrong. But if it's a baby that belongs to me.
Miss Reed says she and Keandre's dad, Kendrick, were friends with benefits for 8 years. Whoa, that's a long time. But Miss Campbell swears Kendrick never mentioned Miss Reed or a baby on the way. This is getting messy, folks. No wonder Miss Campbell is so cautious. She's scared of losing another piece of her son.
Well, we have to have such difficult testimony right now, but
but we're just trying to understand this as it relates to the paternity matter. I need to ask you, Ms. Reed has testified that she was a friend with benefit. Did your son ever mention a friend
No, Your Honor.
in Ms. Reed?
No, Your Honor. I knew nothing about her up until...
Turns out Kendrick and Miss Campbell were super close. She says he always kept her in the loop about what was going on in his life. So it's really strange that he never told her about having a baby on the way with Miss Reed. Miss Campbell is clearly heartbroken over losing her son, and she doesn't want to risk getting hurt again.
Sounds like you were very close.
Yeah, we had a real close relationship. Because I always used to tell Kendrick, I don't care what you do, what nobody say about you. You keep your head up. And you always call me, let me know what's going on with you, because I never know what's going on with you. And I tell all of them, I want to keep up with all y'all, because see, I stayed in Troy.
Miss Reed reveals she and Kendrick only found out she was pregnant the day after he passed away. Whoa, that's some crazy timing. No wonder Miss Campbell is so skeptical. If Kendrick was so open with her, why didn't he mention this huge life event?
And you agreed to the DNA test because you did want to know.
Exactly.
Did you participate in the birth? Were you there?
No, I didn't know anything about when she had the baby. I didn't know. Only time I found out when she had the baby, when she contacted me in July.
Uh-oh, things are starting to get heated. Miss Reed apologizes for not including Miss Campbell in the birth or updates about the baby. She says she was so out of it from the meds that Kendrick's brother DeQuandre was the first person she called. But Miss Campbell is clearly hurt that she wasn't involved. This is getting tense, y'all.
But I'm sorry that I'm sorry. I'm truly am sorry that I did not contact you to for the birth or anything like that.
Yeah, because I felt like if he is my grandson, I should have been there. I should have been the first one to be called.
That's why I said I'm sorry. I did not know. I'm sorry. I'm truly is. From the bottom of my heart, I am really sorry.
DeQuandre takes the stand and says he believes Keandre is his brother's son, even though Miss Reed and Kendrick weren't exclusive. He thinks Miss Reed has been through too much to be lying about this. But the judge points out there's still a lot of mistrust between these two women. This is one complicated situation.
Anybody else during that time?
No, ma'am. No, Your Honor.
DeQuandre, you may have a seat. Miss Campbell, you've met Keandre, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You've seen the baby. When was the first time you saw him?
The first time I saw Keandre was in the court where we was going to try to do a DNA. And she didn't ask me, I would thought she would have asked me, could I hold him?
When Miss Campbell finally gets to see Keandre in court, she's upset that Miss Reed didn't let her hold him or really get to know him. You can tell she's desperate to be a part of her grandson's life. The judge even calls it odd that Miss Reed didn't include her more. Oof, the shade.
I understand, Your Honor, but it was kind of cool in the courtroom where we was at. And Keandre had on a onesie, and he wasn't nothing but 2 months at the time, and by it being cold, and then plus at the same time Keandre was asleep.
I understand where you're coming from, but given the circumstances?
All right, it's moment of truth time. The DNA results are in, and the judge is about to reveal whether Keandre is truly Miss Campbell's grandson. You can cut the tension with a knife, folks. Everyone is on the edge of their seats waiting to hear the verdict.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness is 99%. You are related.
Oh, can I
give you a Thank you for that. Thank you. I needed that.
Whoa, this is gonna be a wild one, folks. We've got a high school jock who's being accused of fathering a 4-year-old daughter. The plaintiff, Miss Smith, is 100% sure this guy is the dad, but he's denying it big time.
Miss Smith, you open your case today because you say a high school romance with the defendant led to the birth of your 4-year-old daughter, Adriana. You testify that you are 100% certain he fathered your child, and once proven today, you want him to step up as he does with his other kids. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's break this down. Miss Smith says she hooked up with the defendant, Mr. Womack, back in high school. He was the big shot athlete, and she was just a regular freshman trying to fit in. Apparently, they started talking on social media, and then got it on a few times. No fancy dates, just straight to the,
I have your baby, and I just accept it. I can't do it.
So you got a text. This is the text. Miss Smith says, you know I had your baby, and you write back, when was this? And then Miss Smith says, 2015.
And Mr. Womack says, and why you think it's mine?
Fast forward a few years and Miss Smith is convinced Mr. Womack is the father of her 4-year-old daughter, Adriana. But he's not having it, saying there's no way he's the dad after all this time.
I am 100% sure that Mr. Womack here is my daughter's father. And I want him to step up and be a father to my daughter. And because, you know, my daughter is 4 and, you know, she don't have a father figure. And when she see Mr. Womack, she wants to be with her daddy.
Oh, and get this. Miss Smith says she didn't even tell Mr. Womack about the pregnancy at first. She thought her ex was the dad, so she kept him in the loop instead. But then a DNA test proved her ex wasn't the father, so she finally reached out to Mr. Womack, and he was not happy about it.
Oh, that's how it starts?
Yes, ma'am.
So you don't even go to dinner or nothing? You just go in the DM?
Yes, ma'am.
That's just nasty. So we just go in the DMs. I mean, y'all got it way too easy, Jerome.
Right.
You don't even have to take nobody to dinner anymore.
You know how much money I spent?
And all you needed was the DM.
It was DM.
But here's where it gets even crazier. Mr. Womack is claiming Miss Smith was sleeping around with his family members during that time. He's saying she was the go-to girl for him and his buddies. Whoa! Talk about a messy situation.
All right, take me to that day. What happened?
My mother felt that I wasn't, feeling well. I was supposed to go to church that Sunday. We didn't go to church. Found out I was pregnant November 23rd. I didn't, tell Mr. Womack.
Miss Smith admits she was, messing around with guys to try and fit in when she was the new girl in town, getting bullied and all. Yikes, this poor girl was just trying to find her place, and it sounds like she ended up getting taken advantage of. That's gotta be tough to relive.
You thought Mr. Womack couldn't be the father because he didn't ever really finish the act.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you wrote him off?
Yes, Your Honor.
So how did you come to realize that that is not the case?
Child support had did a DNA test, and the DNA test has said that he wasn't the father.
Hey, at least she's being honest about it now, right? The judge seems to appreciate her coming clean, even if the details are pretty ugly. And you can tell she really wants Adriana to have a dad in her life. She's saying her daughter gets excited just seeing Mr. Womack's Facebook pictures, so you know she's desperate for him to step up.
In her life, when I can be her father, if it's a possibility she's mine. But after talking to my family, after 3 years, and you just now telling me, I can't do it, but we can find out.
Looks like things are about to get tense in the courtroom. Mr. Womack's cousin is stepping up to the podium, and he's not holding back. He's calling Miss Smith the go-to girl for him and his buddies, saying she was sleeping around with all of them. What a bombshell.
Mr. Womack had told me, he said, you could have slept with one of my cousins, and that's why the baby looked like him. I said, well, how does that happen? Oh, don't worry about that. I said, well, which cousin you think my daughter looked like? It's pretty much that he just didn't
Well,
want to
you
claim
should know who it would be. What is this?
I have another cousin here who I tell.
But through all the drama, you can see Miss Smith is really hurting. She's admitting that she just wanted to fit in and feel special, even if it meant giving herself away to all these guys. And the judge, bless her heart, is trying to comfort her. She's saying, I'd rather you just tell the ugly truth than try to make up a pretty lie. Gotta respect that.
Were you that girl, Miss Smith?
I mean, yes, Your Honor. I'm not gonna lie about it. I was, because I figured I'm trying to fit in. So I was, messing around with, guys because I wanted to fit in. Because, everybody would, bully me or whatever. So it was just to the point that I thought just doing that then, but I know I was doing it the wrong way to fit in.
All right, folks, now we're getting to the big moment. The DNA results are in. It's time to reveal the truth.
Mr. Womack, you are the father.
Just feel bad because I should have been there. I'm ready to be her father, Your Honor. She deserves it.
Yes, she does. I believe you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do and be there for this little girl.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Smith, you had to come clean on some very ugly truths.
Miss Wolf claims her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Shelton, is the father of her twins, Luke and Levi, but Mr. Shelton wasn't having it. He said Miss Wolf was a total party animal who disappeared on him. The judge had to get to the bottom of this messy situation.
Ms. Wolf, you say that your month-long relationship with Mr. Shelton left you with beautiful twins who he is now denying for dubious reasons. You intend intend to prove Mr. Shelton fathered both boys, Luke and Levi. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Turns out Miss Wolf and Mr. Shelton only dated for a month, but she got pregnant during that time. She said the twins looked just like him, and his friends even told her they resembled him. But Mr. Shelton wasn't convinced. He said Miss Wolf was always disappearing and was super untrustworthy.
We were together for a month and messed around a lot, and she just was never there really. And then she just disappeared one day.
Disappeared? Okay. So take me back. I want to understand the nature of this relationship. How did you even meet?
We met on POF. It was it's an internet dating site. We started talking for a little while, and then we just started hitting it off.
Miss Wolf admitted she did ghost Mr. Shelton after a month of dating. She said she was partying a lot back then and wanted a fresh start for her kids. But then she found out she was pregnant, and that's when she started thinking Mr. Shelton could be the dad. The judge was surprised Miss Wolf just disappeared on him like that. Mr. Shelton seemed pretty hurt that he missed out on the twins' lives.
Yes, and like he said, it was really good. We hit it off. We were going to church together. I thought we were both turning our lives around, doing good. But it wasn't that way. There was trust issues. There was other issues that I didn't want to deal with him, and so I ghosted him, I guess you could say.
So you did?
Yes.
You ghosted him?
Yes.
And how soon after that did you find out you were pregnant?
I didn't find out I was pregnant until May.
Things got even more complicated when Miss Wolf revealed she was living with another guy, Ralph, when she found out she was pregnant. She said Ralph was basically going to be there for the twins, even though she wasn't sure if he was the dad. The judge was a little confused. It sounded like Miss Wolf had a lot of guys in her life around that time.
Well, black people come in all colors, all sizes.
But not blonde hair,
Oh no, black people have blonde hair and blue eyes. That's why I turned around and looked and said, well, let's really see. Because there are plenty of black people that have blonde hair and blue eyes. All right, so Mr. Shelton, how did you find out about the pregnancy?
Mr. Shelton said he only met the twins once when Miss Wolf randomly messaged him and he went to her place. He said he could tell one of the twins looked just like him, but Miss Wolf only suggested one of them might be his. The judge was surprised Mr. Shelton hadn't been more involved, even if he wasn't sure about the paternity.
Obviously, Mr. Shelton wasn't there.
No, he was not.
Who was?
Ralph was there with me, but he's my current boyfriend.
And Ralph
he
is
didn't
Mr.
know,
Duquois.
of course, he couldn't be there, yes.
So Mr. Duquois participated in the baby's birth?
Yes, he did.
And she also told me that the Ralph could possibly be one of the fathers also.
Oh, she did?
Later on, yes, later on, Your Honor.
Then the judge called in Miss Wolf's current boyfriend, Ralph, to testify. Ralph said he and Miss Wolf had been together since the twins were born, and he joked around that they might be his kids. But Miss Wolf shut that down, saying she never told Ralph he was the dad. The judge could tell this was a messy situation with a lot of mixed signals.
So, Mr. Shelton, I want to ask you, when was the first time you met the twins and you saw them?
After the last time I saw her when she was pregnant, later on, about another 9 months to a year or whatever, she messaged me on Facebook, Your Honor, and she asked how I was doing, and she came over and we were hanging out, and she said one of the boys could be mine.
This case was a roller coaster from the very start, so naturally, it was headed for one hell of a conclusion. That's why when the DNA results came in, everyone was strapped in and expecting a real shocker.
Mr. Duquois, you are not the father. So, Mr. Shelton, now that I've read the results from Mr. Duquois, and he is not the biological father of either twin, Jerome, let's have the envelopes for Mr. Shelton. Mr. Shelton, you are not the father.
Surprising to me, Your Honor.
In this situation, the plaintiff, Ms. Van Mitra, told the judge that she wanted to prove to the defendant, Mr. Watkins, that he was the father of her child. She hoped that the results would prove that he was the father and that she could save her relationship. The case began like this.
Ms. Van Meter, after a recent medical scare, you realized it is imperative that you prove to the defendant that he is the biological father of your 3-year-old son, DeCedric, so you can put his name on the birth certificate. You are hopeful today's results will help save your family.
We are not in a relationship. We just live together at the moment.
Okay.
We broke up because of the simple fact that I cheated.
Is there a reason he is still in the relationship? I guess we'll find out. Despite the fact that she cheated, Mr. Watkins was nothing short of a good father to the child. He claimed he grew up without a father and was not going to let the child go through the same thing.
Also, I play father to her other child that doesn't have a father in her life, so I'm taking care
care of the whole crew.
And I understand that and I respect that. But it's just like, he makes me feel like it's a financial thing of why he has stayed. And it's not, because we're going to be okay. And I mean, I think he could still father my child even if he's outside of the house.
So, Mr. Watkins, what I want to understand from you is it's bigger than I'm just staying in the house because this child needs to have a father.
Right.
Moving on, the judge decided to ask Mr. Watkins how everything went down the drain and how he found out that Ms. Van Meter had cheated on him. Trust me, the explanation he gave left everyone in the courtroom speechless. Even the judge wasn't expecting it.
Well, I saw her on the couch texting, but I could clearly see what she's doing. She's texting and deleting messages. And she's like, oh, I was just talking to my friend. What you deleting messages for? Then she pretty much was arguing about it, the fact of what she was saying, and I was like, you wasn't saying that because you deleted them. So I left, just cool down, because I don't like sticking around arguing about nothing. So I was coming back. One of her family picked me up and told me that they saw her outside.
Wow, she doesn't even deny it. Someone needs to give her an ass whooping. Trust me, here is another mind-blowing revelation. Ms. Van Meter had already told Mr. Watkins about the man she had slept with, claiming he was just a friend. What she left out was that the friend was her ex-boyfriend.
You said it was a friend, right? But that person that you claimed to be as your friend was the person that you said that you dated a while back.
A long time ago.
So it was never a friend. So you was on the phone with your ex texting, deleting
But
messages.
see, this is the part that always happens like this, because it's always that okie doke where it's like, it's just my friend. And that's why in this courtroom, we always ask, have you ever been intimate with that person?
For some reason, I'm just not buying Ms. Van Meter's story. After a week of her sexual encounter with the other guy, she finds out she is pregnant. She then went on to tell the judge that she could recall using protection while kicking it in bed. Mr. Watkins told the judge that it was a cap.
Mr. Watkins, you seem like you don't believe that.
She didn't use it. She told me she didn't use it. And then she
I
told
told
me
you
she
I did
did
not
use
remember.
it. She said
If
she
I
didn't
did, but I
remember.
did.
Then she said she didn't. Then she did. Then she said she did. So there's you see where my doubts come from. I don't really have a bond with him. Like I love him, but every time I see him, I just see him the same way I see her daughter. Is those are her kids. So I just see him as just cute kid. He's cute.
You honestly can't blame Mr. Watkins for feeling that way. He might love the kid, but that doubt just can't disappear into the wind. Ms. Van Meter told the judge that after he found out that she had cheated on him, she told him that he didn't have to stay. But for some reason, he decided to be there for the kids.
Yeah, and
surrounding the timeline is real.
And I know that, and I told him that, and I respected that, and I told him he didn't have to stay. He has chose to stay. He was there during the whole birth. He was there. He cut my son's umbilical cord.
But Ms. Van Meter, have you ever told the other guy that he potentially was DeCedre's biological father?
I ran into him when my son was 3 months old, and he asked me if I ever found out if my son was his or not, and I told him that I did.
She lied to the other guy because she wanted Mr. Watkins to be the father of her child. Wow. Of course, the judge talked some sense into her head. In trying to defend herself, she said she did what she did because she loved him and wanted the relationship to work.
Because I love him and I do want our relationship to work. It's not like that I don't care if he leaves or not, because it would hurt me. It really would. I do love him and I care about him, but I don't want him to feel like he's
So the truth is, you do want your relationship to work.
Yes, I do.
And you do want him to be the father of your child, not just in deed, right?
Yeah.
But in name as well.
Yes.
In biology.
Wonderful speech, but it does not erase the fact that the child has two possible fathers. Anyway, the only way out of this cheating scandal was to reveal the DNA results. Is the ex-boyfriend the father, or is Mr. Watkins the father?
Mr. Watkins, you are the father.
That's my boy right there. No wonder he's so damn bad.
That's funny. I've never heard that. But Mr. Watkins, I'm so glad DeCedre will have his daddy in his life, and you will be able to be there, and most importantly, be able to break the generational curse that you spoke about when you first began to testify in this courtroom.
Ms. Bryson admits to cheating on Mr. McCarroll, but she says it does not matter since he is the biological father of her 18-month-old son. But Mr. McCarroll says he does not believe that since he knows for sure that Ms. Bryson cheated on him with some other man. This was how the case began.
Ms. Bryson, what is the nature of your relationship? You're separated?
Yes, ma'am. We're currently separated.
Are you working to get it back on track? Where are you all at in this?
We're not working on getting anything back in track because Mr. McCarroll, he has whorish ways.
Wow.
and he wants me to be a whore like he is, and I'm not that type of person.
Mr. McCarroll, you want her to be a whore like you are?
No, Your Honor. I have no idea where Miss Bryson gets that from.
So, Ms. Bryson accuses Mr. McCarroll of being nothing but a dirty cheat right out of the gate. But Mr. McCarroll waves all of that off and says he really worked hard for his life not to get to this point, but somehow he is here. What does he even mean by that? Let us see.
How did you see all of it coming, and what is it?
This situation where we got another beautiful young black woman that don't know who her kids' fathers is, that's steady.
Oh, you're a savior now.
I'm not a savior.
He thinks
no,
he is.
I'm not a savior, but I could have avoided this situation.
How could you have avoided that?
I could have avoided this by working and going to school and trying to make a better way for her.
And every time he worked.
And hold on.
Okay, it seems like these guys have a lot of problems that even 1,000 Lauren Lakes cannot solve. And about the case of the book, well, the real story, as Mr. McCarroll says, will shock you.
I was reading, I believe it was Rick James' autobiography some years ago. As you could imagine, that is a very interesting book.
I bet it was.
Yeah, she upstairs with the baby. I'm downstairs because I'm trying to read. The baby wants crying and whatnot.
I heard. Hold on. Let him finish the story.
I'm reading the book. She come downstairs huffing and puffing. I've been downstairs too long. I'm too quiet. I'm reading the book.
Whoa, this is wild. What is more insane is that when Ms. Bryson conceived her baby, they were separated. But Mr. McCarroll still came around, and since he did not know how to keep his hands to himself, they would eventually sleep together. And one day, Miss Bryson got pregnant. Easy peasy.
Mr. McCarroll came over and touched you, and then you got pregnant.
That's
right?
I braided.
Thank you.
No,
Takes two.
No, Your Honor, I braided his hair. He came over. I asked the guy that I was in a relationship with, could I do his hair? He said yes. He came over and was flirting on me, touching on me. Every time we speak on the phone, I try to call and let him talk to the kids. Every time that we speak on the phone, he always flirts. I never ever cheated on him when we were together.
What? But you are the one cheating on other people, Ms. Bryson. No one is making you look like the bad guy. You just sound like one because you are doing horrible things. But make no mistake, Ms. Bryson really loves this man. She loves him too much.
In the past, I have cheated on guys with him because, like I said, I love him. But when I got pregnant with him, I was with someone and I broke up with him, and I told the other guy why I was breaking up with him, because I didn't want to hurt his feelings.
And I can see that really just upsets you.
I wanted to have a family with him. I wanted to get married to him. Like I said, I've been with him since I was 18. I love him. Any man I ever talked to know that I love him, okay? I wanted to have a son.
That is so sad. After this, Ms. Bryson pulls out her trusty conception calendar, and it shows that Mr. McCarroll did sleep with her during her conception period. Anyway, there is one other guy who could be a potential father in this mix. Let us see what he has to say.
Do you believe you are Zylan's biological father?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Why?
Because at the same time she was with me, she was messing around with him. And lost my train of thought just thinking about the stuff.
It makes you upset?
Yeah, because I found out that she was messing around. So she told me she was 99% sure that he was the father, and it's a possibility that I could be.
Did you know she was still sleeping with Mr. McCarroll when she was with you?
No.
That is wild. Do you know what could be even crazier? If it turns out that 9 of these men are the fathers, well, it is time to finally find out the truth. Let us see what the DNA test results have to say about all of this.
Mr. Perkins, you are not the father. Mr. McCarroll, you are not the father.
Case closed. I ain't got no more to say. Say no more. Man.
Well, obviously, my calendar was wrong. And my ultrasounds, I showed both of them my ultrasounds. Everything said I got pregnant in April. That's what I was worried about. So I obviously got pregnant in May.
Is Zylan McCarroll's father? Do you know?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Humphries says that Mr. Mosley, who was sleeping with her while separated from his baby mother, is the father of her 2-month-old child. But Mr. Mosley says that is impossible because he knows that Ms. Humphries was also sleeping with her ex-boyfriend while she was with him. It all began like this.
Ms. Robinson been together for a minute, had rocky ups and downs in our relationship. If this is our child, then, you know, she gonna leave me, and I don't want her to leave me.
Were you in a sexual relationship with Ms. Humphries?
Yes, I was.
Was it during the window of conception when Tyler was conceived?
No.
It was not, in your estimation.
No, Your Honor.
Is that true, Ms. Humphries?
No, Your Honor, it was. Because at the time when I got conceived, we were sexual. That was like the end of August, beginning of September.
You want to know why Ms. Humphries is so sure? more? Well, she says that she was sleeping a lot more with Mr. Mosley during that time. As we all know, it does not take one time to get pregnant. Instead, your body actually calculates how many times you sleep with someone and then gets pregnant based on that data.
I mean, he could be, but I was more sexual, Mr. Mosley.
You were having more sex with him?
Yeah.
But you do understand it only takes one?
Right.
All right, Mr. Mosley, do the dates add up in your mind as she says she was intimate with you at the end of August, beginning of September? Is that true?
Your Honor, I'm not gonna lie to you. I wasn't even paying attention. I was there for the sex. So I don't know. You know, I just did it.
Okay.
This too much talking for me.
Yeah, how many fathers have said that in paternity court for kids that ended up being theirs? Trust me, it has happened more times than you care to admit. The good thing about Mr. Mosley is that he has an excuse for everything. When Judge Lauren asked him why he was having unprotected intercourse, here is what he said.
At the same time, well, all I can say is this. I feel like it's her fault too, Your Honor. She should never broke up with me. She should never broke up with me. If she never broke up with me, I would never did what I did.
Also, it's Miss Robinson's fault.
Hey.
Miss Robinson, this is all on you. I'd like to hear from you. So Mr. Mosley says this is all your fault.
No,
This would not be happening if you had not left him, so you can blame yourself.
No, this is his fault. This is his fault, and this is her fault.
Oh, so there is extra drama between Miss Robinson here and Ms. Humphreys. Ms. Robinson says she knows that Mr. Mosley had women on the side, but Ms. Humphreys really wanted to get under her skin, so she brought her into this.
They have 2 children together. So you don't think she has a reason to be mad?
No, I don't.
And why?
Because she knew about this.
You felt like she knew?
Yes, you did.
Did not.
I wouldn't be sitting up here saying.
Wait a minute, Miss Humphreys.
She
You said
did.
she knew about your relationship?
Yes, she did. It's on Facebook. She blocked me on Facebook. Like,
She plays both men. That's what she's doing.
okay.
She's
Why you
playing
mad?
She's playing both sides.
Why is this
She's telling
your
one
business?
man,
Wow, it seems there is a lot of bad blood between these two, and they are both really just fighting for Mr. Mosley. Anyway, the evidence Ms. Thompson submits is a post by Ms. Humphreys saying that Mr. Mosley was not her child's father. This means Mr. Mosley is not sleeping with Ms. Humphreys right now, right? Well, wrong.
So, Miss Humphreys, what is the nature of your relationship with Mr. Mosley now?
We still sexual. We still, we friends.
Still having
Already.
sex with
Why you
Mr.
mad?
Mosley now?
Yes.
But Mr. Mosley, I can see by the look on your face that she's telling the truth.
She telling the truth.
So you still have sex with Miss Humphreys?
I have, yeah.
and still going to continue to once this is done.
Yes.
Yeah, she is Mr. Mosley's special friend, all right? This is so messy, but at least Mr. Mosley has a believable excuse for all of this, right? He must have a reason for being so messy. Well, let us listen to his reason.
Your Honor, I love Tamika, all right? Okay? I'm not in love with her, but I do love her. I used to be in love with her, but I kind of drifted off, you know what I'm saying? You know, I never had a father in my life to actually teach me certain things. And I know I shouldn't put this in the picture. You know, my mother taught me characteristics of a man. She never taught me how to be a man. You feel me?
But you making babies and then you denying and you don't want to take care of the ones you have.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Because, things change. I never know. I might change, but you can't fault me.
And he has got a point. Mr. Mosley is not lying to these women about the way he is going to operate. So the fact that these women keep jumping in bed with him is actually the problem, nothing else. Anyway, let us talk to the other potential father, in this case, Mr. Cook.
So do you believe you are Tyler's biological father?
To tell you the truth, I do not know. I would love to be his father, but them two, they perfect for each other, because they both liars.
Yes.
They both liars.
Yes.
They perfect for each other.
I'm a liar and I
They
came
both
from
are
both
liars.
of y'all. I
They
told both of
especially
y'all from
him.
the beginning.
I
He a liar too.
It's all
I ain't a liar, though. I'm real, bro. I ain't a liar. I tell the truth too much.
The day I went to take the DNA test.
Yeah, Mr. Cook, what is this? Ms. Humphreys tries to walk back her comment about still sleeping with Mr. Mosley, but she can't. Then Mr. Cook says he has always been present as the child's father. And in fact, at the beginning of the pregnancy, Ms. Humphreys told him there was no chance Mr. Mosley was the baby's father.
Did she tell you you were definitely this child's father?
Still to this day, she still would tell me that I'm this child's
At the end of the day, it was James.
But my
Now
thing
it
is,
definitely is.
I don't know.
So wait, Miss Humphreys, are you telling him that he's the child's father? And you're telling Mr. Mosley he's the child's father?
Wow.
But I'm the only one that's doing
She's
something
not
for the
lying
child.
now, she's telling the truth.
I'm the only one doing something for the child.
So,
I
Mr.
keep
Humphreys,
Tyler
why
more
are
than
you,
her.
why is that your approach?
Well, at least honesty is the best policy. Hopefully she is telling the truth, and the DNA test returns one of these men as her child's father. The DNA test results are here, and it is time to read them out.
It has been determined by this court. His biological father is Mr. Cook.
Good.
Congratulations, Mr. Cook.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does it feel good to finally know for sure? Mm-hmm. And now you know that everything you've done for this child has not been in vain?
Ms. Bruton here admitted to sleeping with both her boyfriend and ex-boyfriend, and now they both want to be the baby daddy. And that got hot. Judge Lauren Lake as mad as you've ever seen her, and here is how it all began.
Ms. Bruton, you claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Martin is not your son's biological father because your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Richardson, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say today's DNA test will allow you to get rid of Mr. Martin and to finally reconcile your relationship with Mr. Richardson. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Martin, you say Ms. Bruton led you to believe that you had fathered her 7-month-old son, Logan.
For some reason, Ms. Bruton seems to be quite sure that her boyfriend is the father of her baby. But the ex-boyfriend wasn't going to let Ms. Bruton sell that story to the judge. He claimed he remembered being intimate with her around the window of conception. He started by saying this.
I know I had unprotected sex around the time that she conceived. She might say I didn't have it as many times she said I did, but I know it's a fact.
No.
And it's 99.7%
No, Your Honor.
that it is mine.
No, Your Honor. We only had unprotected sex twice.
It was 3 at her apartment, 2 at her family member house, 1 at my house, and 1 in the car.
Now, that's a really harsh thing to do, Ms. Bruton. She made him happy about the pregnancy and then pulled a fast one on him by vanishing into the air. But here is the crazy thing. Ms. Bruton was not sure who the father of her child could be. So what did she do? She decided to tell both of them that they could both be the father of the child.
I wasn't for sure who was the father because I slept with both of them around the same time.
Okay, so you do admit his testimony is true.
Yeah.
Take me back. I want to understand this relationship. So how do you get to the point where you're in a relationship with Mr. Richardson, but you're having sex unprotected with Mr. Martin?
Okay, me and Mr. Richardson, we was having our ups and downs in our relationship.
There's no denying it now. Ms. Bruton was the one who stepped out of line in the relationship, but there's more truth to be told. Apparently, Mr. Martin wasn't being so truthful with his side of the story. The judge asked him if he wanted to be in a relationship with Ms. Bruton, and here's what he had to say.
Go-to guy, Mr. Martin, or did you think you were in a relationship?
Nah, I was just the go-to guy.
So you knew that?
Yeah, I knew that. I really wanted me a child at the time, so I was trying to get her pregnant, and I did tell her that.
You were trying to get somebody pregnant
her
that you didn't want to be in a relationship with?
Yeah, but I didn't want to be in a relationship with her.
But you were trying to get her pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
One thing is for sure, Mr. Martin just got on Judge Lauren's nerves. The window of conception hits the table, and both Ms. Bruton and Mr. Martin can't seem to agree on the days they were intimate with each other. Ms. Bruton claimed it was a certain date, while baby daddy claimed she wasn't telling the truth.
You're disputing those days?
Yeah, yes, yes.
When do you say you were intimate?
Before the 7th. It was like on the 5th, maybe. That was the first time.
So you're saying you were intimate with her before and after this date of conception? Well, let's just be certain. What she has already testified to puts you in the window of conception, regardless.
Sneaky little Ms. Bruton. She cheated and kept it a secret from her boyfriend? Wow. Could it get any worse? Anyway, Ms. Bruton claimed that it was her boyfriend who was by her side throughout the pregnancy. She claimed Mr. Martin was a pain in her ass, and all he tried to do was ruin her relationship with her boyfriend.
Who stepped up for you during this pregnancy?
Mr. Richardson.
Really?
Yes, I was trying my best to avoid Mr. Martin because he's very messy, trying to break up me and Mr. Richardson's relationship.
But when you told him he was a potential father, wait, Mr. Martin, did you try to be there? Were you trying to go to
Yeah, he tried.
At least she isn't denying shutting Mr. Martin out of the picture. But it gets tricky. Ms. Bruton allowed her boyfriend to sign the birth certificate because she wanted him to be the father, or as she put it, she believed and hoped he was the father.
I wanted Mr. Richardson to know all of that. I didn't want Mr. Martin to know none of that because I don't want him to be Logan's father.
So you allowed Mr. Richardson to sign the birth certificate because you think he's the father or because you hope he's the father?
I think he's the father and I'm hoping he's the father.
Well, the case is not going to get any messier than this. Judge Lauren isn't going to sit around and watch these guys argue all day. The only way out of this mess is to reveal the DNA results. Is Mr. Martin going to end up being the father of the child?
Mr. Richardson, you are not the father.
What?
Mr. Martin.
I told you.
What?
I told you.
You are the
told
father.
You. I told you. I knew what it was.
No,
I already
that
know
is not
that.
possible.
I knew this.
I want to
Your Honor,
recant.
Mr.
my
Martin,
case is
you
red.
are
My
the
case is
father.
red.
No, that is not possible.
In this episode of Paternity Court, Chantel Percival and Traisa Hansen, two women from separate mothers, claim that Michael Hansen is their biological father. Despite their mother's claims, the latter vehemently denies it. In fact, for the past 31 years, Hansen has rejected Percival as his daughter. So, what's the story behind all this?
So, Ms. Percival, please share with the court why you feel Mr. Hansen has rejected.
I feel that he's rejected me since, well, my whole life I've grown up not knowing who my father was, knowing that my sister, who was also through my mother, who is Michael's daughter, she was a baby but denied me the whole entire time. So I grew up my whole entire life not knowing who my father was because he refused to take a DNA test.
Mr. Hansen, what I'm trying to understand is you have one child with her mother. Why is it you deny?
Oh, so that's Hansen's defense. But nobody is buying it one bit, especially not Percival. Hansen claims that he was married when Chantel Percival was born. Because of that fact, he couldn't possibly be Percival's father because, according to him, he did not cheat on his wife at the time.
You're in a marriage,
Yes.
and you say you never cheated on your wife.
Yeah, that's right.
And your wife gave birth within a month of the time that Ms. Percival was born.
I was with the other woman at the time she was conceived, so there's no way she could be my daughter. I am not her father, Your Honor.
And you seem pretty confident about that.
I guarantee it.
So, Ms. Percival?
Yes, Your Honor.
When were you told that he was your father?
When I was 6 years old.
Whoa! Hansen also doubts that the child, Traisa, whom his wife gave birth to at the time, is his. Now, this is getting wild. What's even worse is that Percival's mom, Miss Vial Pando, claims that all through the time that she was seeing Hansen, they were sexually intimate. However, she didn't even know that he was married at the time. That's if he was indeed married.
Let me ask you, were you intimate with Mr. Hansen while he was with his wife?
Yes, if they were married at that time, yes, because we were seeing each other off and on, and then he went back to Tracy.
No.
And his contention
That's wrong.
is that he was married and he never cheated.
I'll take a lie detector test. I would never cheat on Tracy, ever.
And given the
Never
fact
with her
that
after
your
we split up.
daughters are 1 month apart, it's your contention that he in fact was going back and forth.
Yes, Your Honor. And he is the father.
That's a lie.
Interesting. However, Miss Vial Pando begged to differ. She stated that she told Hansen the very day Percival was born, and that he said she wasn't his. Hansen stands his ground that after Vial Pando had their first child together, they were never sexually intimate again, and both went their separate ways. At this point, the judge brings in Hansen's ex-wife and daughter.
Huh?
Hold on 1 second before you say what you have to say. State your name for the court.
Tracy Merchant.
You're Ms. Merchant, and your name?
I'm Tracy Hansen.
All right. So, Ms. Merchant, you were married to Mr. Hansen.
Yes.
At the time that Miss Percival was conceived.
Yes, I knew that she was born. I knew she was his when she was born.
You did?
Yes, I did.
No, that's a
yes,
lie.
I did.
I was with you. How could I be with you?
And her.
No, I was not.
Yeah.
Now this is a perfect gang-up. Hansen is right in the middle as these two women expose his lies. Worse, Hansen now denies that Traisa, his ex-wife's daughter, is his. He claims that after he had divorced his wife, he heard rumors about her having sexual relations with his older brother, which sparked his doubt. But even before the rumors, Hansen was terrible to Traisa.
You are.
Your Honor, growing up with him, well, he was in and out of my life, but the times that I was around him, it was your mom's a whore, you're a whore, and
I didn't call you a
Yes,
whore.
you did, numerous times.
No, I didn't.
You're gonna be like your mom.
What kind of man does that?
I didn't do that. No, I didn't call her no whore.
Yeah.
Her mother's one thing.
I lived with him for 3
mother a whore.
He's never denied any of my brothers. He's always taken care of them. Always felt like I was never worth having a father, and I should have never felt like that.
Hansen just keeps getting sucked into the dirt. It's now 4 women's statements against only him. It can't be coincidental that not even one of these women has something nice to say about him other than he denied and mistreated them all their lives. But now it seems like he is willing to change how both girls see him if they end up being his daughters after the DNA tests are out.
No matter the outcome, if she's my daughter, I'll take full responsibility. But I have a real big doubt, and I don't mean to make you feel bad in anything, in any way. I'm not that kind of person. I would put you in my life.
If you're not that kind of person and didn't want to make me feel bad, why would you say what you did?
I told you, because there's no way. I know for a fact you're not
But
my.
why would you say that to somebody?
Because I know for a fact you're not my daughter.
Your Honor, I have evidence of our birth.
Oh, hold on.
I'd like to see that.
Yes,
Jerome,
ma'am.
please hand me that evidence, please.
I know for a fact you're not my daughter.
You submitted a count.
Oh boy, this does not look good. Well, at least for Hansen. These two women, Percival and Teresa, have gone through so much in their lives and have made terrible decisions that will forever have a permanent mark on them. The root cause? Hansen's absence in their lives. This has now led to a buildup of pain and resentment towards Hansen.
So I went through the same resentment. I have resentment so much towards him for not having a father figure in my life and him denying me for 31 years. It was the worst growing up like that.
See,
it was
they're
the
saying
worst.
I'm denying him.
You are denying him.
I'm
You
not
are.
denying him if
That's
I can't find him.
No.
That's wrong.
Mr. Hansen, don't sit up here on this witness stand and start backtracking. Because when you stood over there, you said, I do not believe Miss Percival is my daughter.
Yup, I agree too. Hansen might be able to reject Percival's mom's statement about Percival being his daughter. Similarly, he can also talk about having doubts that Teresa is his. However, once the DNA results are revealed, he has no choice but to believe what science states. Now let's see how that goes.
Mr. Hansen, you are her father.
Yeah.
Mr. Hansen, you are her father.
I'm sorry. I love you both. I'm sorry. I really am.
Mr. Hansen, is there anything you
I
want to say to your
apologize.
beautiful
I'm
little
sorry.
girls,
I'm
grown
sorry.
girls?
I'll be in your life from here to the rest of my life.
Ashley Sales wants to find out the paternity of her 3-year-old daughter, Micaiah, after being denied by the presumed father, D'Amico Jackson. Ashley claims that Jackson wanted them to have a baby, which they did, and now he does not want to take responsibility. On the other hand, Jackson claims that Ashley is a side chick who just wants to pin her baby on him.
You claim that Miss Sales is a former side chick who is trying to pin a baby on you only because she wants you back in her life. You are certain you are not her daughter's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Sales, explain why you opened your case today.
I opened my case today because I was with D'Amico for 5 years. We were in a relationship. We had our baby, and now because he sits up and talks to his family.
Oh, wow. However, Jackson claims that he and Ashley were never in any relationship and that she was just his side woman. Shocked, Ashley goes on to tell the court how he was always at her house every day and that he was the only one she was with for a whole year, despite him saying that she was with other guys apart from him. If they truly were together, how long?
How long did it go on for?
When I first met him, I had moved out of town, so we had, lost contact. That's when he met his ex and they got in a relationship. When I moved back in town, he never let me know about this relationship he had. I found out because a friend of mine told me that he had a girl. He never said anything to me about it. And by the time he actually started trying to confess that he had a girlfriend, we had already been together for 6 to 8 months, already having sex with each other unprotected on the regular.
Ashley is clearly not letting Jackson have it. Determined to hear Jackson's side of the story, Judge Lauren asked him to talk about the day he found out about the pregnancy. However, while he was telling the story, Jackson kinda got the gist wrong, and Ashley began telling it. Boy, you would not believe what these two have been up to. Take a look at this.
Went to the doctor because
2
I
months
had
later.
a cyst ruptured in my stomach, so I had to go to the hospital because I was very sick. He went with me, but he was my side piece, right? But he took me and went with me to the hospital. So I was getting a lot of tests ran and things done to me. They was telling me no, I wasn't pregnant at the time because I had polyps. So the nurse explained that it was really hard for me to get pregnant and my chances was very slim. But at the time I had already gotten off of birth control and was trying to have a baby with him. We had sex at the hospital that same night.
These two are wild. Anyway, by October, Ashley found out that she was some weeks pregnant, and so far, all these two have said shows that both of them were constantly sexually intimate with each other, side piece or not. So, it is possible that Ashley could have gotten pregnant within the span of their lovemaking. But why exactly is Jackson still adamant?
Why is it you think you can't be Micaiah's biological father? It seems like you at least a possibility.
Your Honor, one day I was on my family member house doing some work with him, and a friend of us called and said that they seen her in a car with some light-skinned guy with dreads and say this who she been seeing. It's a possibility could be her baby daddy or anything like that.
That's a lie.
Yes, and a lot of people in the car and told me that she was riding around with this cat.
Oh, people have seen her in the car riding around with this guy.
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. True story.
Ashley claims that Jackson's ex, who wanted him back, cooked up all of the rumors about her being with someone else. Meanwhile, Jackson claimed that he found texts between Ashley and the other man about her pregnancy, but Ashley debunked it as pure lies. Due to Jackson's statement about the timeline, the court examined the calendar he submitted.
So you actually submitted a calendar to the court to outline your doubt as it
Yes,
relates
ma'am.
to the timeline.
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
step up to the monitor, please?
I broke up with Miss Sales June. I got back with my ex July. We went to the hospital in August to check about her uterus because she had problems. I did not know she was pregnant until like a month or two later. That's when she told me she was pregnant.
So when do you finally find out Miss Sales is pregnant?
It's around like September.
There it is, September.
Yes, ma'am.
The last week.
Yes, ma'am.
Outlined in hot pink.
Yes, ma'am.
Micaiah was born in May, on May 9th.
Yes, ma'am.
Man, even the judge does not buy anything that comes out of this man's mouth at this point. Jackson's body language is all too wrong, which is starting to make him suspicious. But Jackson isn't done yet. He introduces a witness to the court who turns out to be his sister. Dernisha Jackson, Demeco's sister, had something to say about the situation. Let's see what she says.
Called me crying one night because he said Ashley admitted to him that she had slept with the light-skinned dude with dreads, and there's a possibility that Micaiah might not be his.
And what did you tell your brother, Miss Jackson?
I just told him to take a DNA test, which he said he tried to take one.
Ashley had, faked the fallout, started crying, things like that. So we had to leave.
I drove up there. It was my car. How did I not want to take the DNA
We had
test?
to leave, so.
How do you fake a fallout?
She started crying outside the building because she didn't want to take
Was
the
you
DNA
standing
test.
there for you?
No, he told me.
Anyway, enough of all this. All this couple needs to be able to move past this situation is the result of the DNA test. So, is Mr. Jackson truly Micaiah's father or not? Let's find out.
Mr. Jackson, you are the father.
Now I know who my baby
Miss Sales, you don't have to do that. I don't run no circus, and I don't need no clowns.
I understand.
We're talking about a baby. She should know who you are.
She know who I am.
She don't need no side daddy. She needs the daddy that is going to be protecting her. She needs the daddy that's going to carry the world on his shoulders for her. And Miss Sales, I'm going to be honest. I get it. I see your tears. I know you say you're not emotional. I get all that.
This couple is on the verge of getting a divorce due to paternity doubts from the husband, Mr. Cohen. This man claims that his wife, Mrs. Cohen, brought another man to their home and had intimate sexual relations with him when he, Mr. Cohen, was not home. Due to this discovery, Mr. Cohen claimed that he started to doubt whether their one-year-old son, Kyrie, was truly his. However, Mrs. Cohen wants to prove him wrong.
I want to prove to him that he is the father of our one-year-old son. He's my high school sweetheart. We met in the 10th grade. We started dating. We've been together for 7 years, married for 3, and I just really want to prove to him and his family members that he is the father of our one-year-old son.
What are you feeling right now?
I'm just hurt a lot because he makes it seem like I'm just the only one that's out here cheating when he's the one cheating too. Like, he made me feel like less of a woman when I had our one-year-old son. I didn't feel pretty.
Okay, let's get this straight. Both parties have been cheating on each other. But at some point, Mr. Cohen started feeling hurt and is demanding a paternity test. Now, these two have been ruining their 3-year marriage. Why? Well, Mr. Cohen has something to say about it. So, let's hear him out.
I do take blame of starting our bad marriage off. I wasn't ready to be a father or a husband to our oldest child, but I took the role and I tried as best as I can. I didn't look at my wife the same way after she had him, and I was young and I wanted to do everything my friends was doing. It wasn't the best choice, which led us here today.
I appreciate the honesty. I do.
Since then, their marriage has taken a downturn. It got worse to the point that Mrs. Cohen felt unseen in her marriage, that she got involved with another man, and that the trust between the pair was almost non-existent. At some point, they both decided to call it quits, but got back together again. It was around that time that Mr. Cohen found out that his wife was cheating.
Through Jasmine's phone one day after we got back together, her phone was locked. She had a passcode on it. So I had to get in that phone. I said, okay, what can I do? I used all Jasmine's 10 fingers on her finger to unlock her iPhone.
How?
She had a lock on her phone with her finger. With her
Right, so how did you use her fingers?
She was asleep at the time, and I put her finger on the phone, and she continued to stay asleep.
Wow, all right.
right?
Yes.
Boy, this trust issue had eaten deep into Mr. Cohen. During his search, he stumbled upon Mrs. Cohen's notes app, where she wrote his name and that of 2 other guys. Now, while Mr. Cohen's recognized the first guy's name as the guy she had intimate sexual relations with while they were younger, he didn't recognize the other name. That struck a chord, and Cohen went into full-on FBI mode.
I went straight to Instagram, typed in the name.
And you were doing this all in the middle of the night?
It wasn't even actually night, it was daytime.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Inspector Gadget. So then you go to Instagram, and what happens?
I went to Instagram, I typed in the guy's name, and his name popped up first. I clicked on that picture. I went into his DMs, and I was like, "You're having a baby, sir." And he replied back to me, acting like he knew exactly who I was.
What? So, Mrs. Cohen, while on community service, met a man and had a one-time sexual encounter with him. However, Mrs. Cohen had already found out that she was pregnant in April. Now, she and this other man were sexually intimate in May, which kind of explains why baby Kyrie can't possibly be for the stranger. In her defense, Mr. Cohen was also cheating at the time.
I was getting him back. That's all that was. He was cheating. My husband's made me feel so low. Like, he's chosen females over me plenty of times. So it was my time to get back at him. So I was just doing what I wanted to do.
Was the sex unprotected?
With who?
With the community service guy.
Yes.
And you find out your wife is pregnant.
Yes.
Take me to that day.
I wasn't happy at all, to be honest, because I wasn't ready to have another child and we was already in a bad place. During that time, that was when we were still broken up. I was in and out of the home.
Clearly, Mrs. Cohen disagrees with what her husband said. She claimed that they were intimate every day, and sometimes twice a day. But Mr. Cohen seems to have a bad memory and can't recollect such a thing ever happening. Meanwhile, the judge mentions that Mr. Cohen had proof that could support his claims. This proof is a medical report. So, let's see what it entails.
I have type 2 diabetes, and I didn't have no insurance at the time, so it was uncontrolled, meaning my sugars were always high. So every time I would ejaculate, my semen would become weird and it can't travel right.
So how I get pregnant, Corey?
Well, I was about to say, you all do have another child together, right?
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't have diabetes at the time.
So because of this is very interesting.
Medical expert Dr. Richardson testifies that while Mr. Cohen's statement about his medical situation being able to affect his ability to procreate is true, it doesn't completely close the window on that ability. What I mean is that yes, Mr. Cohen can be affected by his medical situation, but he also can impregnate a woman successfully despite that. But still, this doesn't quell Mr. Cohen's doubts.
So after hearing this testimony, Mr. Cohen, do you feel differently about your paternity doubts?
She still slept with another man, so there's still doubt inside of me.
So, Ms. Cohen, have you remained in touch with this other man?
No, why would I do that? I just want to prove to him and his family, because his family treats my baby completely different than our first child. Like, when I had him, they didn't post him on their Facebook. They didn't buy him nothing for his birthday. Like, they treat him different than my other son.
Right. Anyway, the time has come for us to find out whether or not Mr. Cohen is the biological father of little Kyrie. Who else is curious to know the DNA test result? Well then, let's find out.
Mr. Cohen, you are the father.
Be quiet.
I'll tell you, some of the best life lessons come from the hugest mistakes. That's just the way it goes. This should be an important lesson to you both. And it shouldn't take coming to paternity court to figure out how much you both mean to one another, or the chance to make it right is over. Because it's never too late for a brand new start. That you guys can do the work.
All these two knew how to do was blame each other. Ms. Sales appeared in court to prove to the defendant, Mr. Jackson, that he was the father of the child. She claimed that it was his idea to have a baby, and the moment the baby was born, he disappeared. This was how Ms. Sales opened her case.
I opened my case today because I was with D'Amico for 5 years. We were in a relationship. We had our baby, and now because he sits up and talks to his family, now he feels like that is not his child. Since the day my daughter was born, because she was light-skinned with gray eyes, that was not his child because I'm too dark to have a light-skinned baby.
A side cheek for 5 years? Now, that's definitely going to hurt Ms. Sales's feelings. But her heart was about to be crushed even further. After Mr. Jackson told the entire courtroom she was his side cheek, he went on to say he stayed with her because they had great sex.
How was we not in a relationship?
It was more of, you know, she had great sex.
Oh, I put it on him and he could never leave.
I mean, it happens like that, you know, Jan, it happens like that, you know. It was just...
So you're saying you were only with her for a sexual relationship?
She was my side woman.
So did you make that clear, or were you making her feel like she was your real woman, but really you were just having a side woman?
She was just my side woman.
Mr. Jackson needs to put a leash on his mouth, but could there be some truth to what he is saying? It was only right that Judge Lauren asked Ms. Sales to give her own side of the story. Mr. Jackson had been running his mouth for a while, and when Ms. Sales took the floor, this was what she had to say.
When I first met him, I had moved out of town, so we had, you know, lost contact. That's when he met his ex and they got in a relationship. When I moved back in town, he never let me know about this relationship he had. I found out because a friend of mine told me that he had a girl. He never said anything to me about it. And by the time he actually started trying to confess that he had a girlfriend.
Wow. Let's just say Mr. Jackson was enjoying the company of both Ms. Sales and his girlfriend at the time. The man wasn't ready to let any of the women go. Though he called her his side piece, he was present at the doctor's appointment when they found out she was pregnant.
In my stomach, so I had to go to the hospital because I was very sick. He went with me, but he was my side piece, right? But he took me and went with me to the hospital. So I was getting a lot of tests ran and things done to me. They was telling me no, I wasn't pregnant at the time because I had polyps. So the nurse explained that it was really hard for me to get pregnant and my chances was very slim, but at the time I had already gotten off of birth control and was trying to have a baby with him.
Well, there was a lot of sex going on with these two, that's for sure. I mean, how do you have sex at the hospital? Jeez. Anyway, with all the sex that they were having, Judge Lauren decided to ask Mr. Jackson why he felt he could not be a potential father to the baby, and this was his response.
Yana, one day I was on my family member house doing some work with him, and a friend of us called and said that they seen her in a car with some light-skinned guy with dreads, and say this who she been seeing, it's a possibility could be her baby daddy or anything like that. This was told to me.
That's a lie.
Yes, and a lot of people in the car and told me that she was riding around with this cat.
Oh, people have seen her in the car riding around with this guy.
Yes, Your Honor. True story.
So,
Mr. Jackson's ex-girlfriend must really want him back to keep spreading those lies, if they are actually lying anyway. But that was not all. Mr. Jackson also told the judge that he went through her phone and saw some very funny text messages from a guy she was texting.
What did the messages say?
It was more like, you know, I guess, you know, he already had a baby or something like that. I guess she was trying to come clean about she supposed to be pregnant. It could be a possibility, mine's or his.
Oh, so you saw an exchange of messages?
Yes, ma'am.
Talking about the pregnancy and the paternity?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you saw that, did you confront her?
I confronted her, but you know, just like any other woman, they gonna lie and deny it.
In a way, that makes a lot of sense. Let's just say this is one of those situations where a guy is going to say anything so he does not end up as the father of the child. Mr. Jackson had a witness by his side. As you would expect, it was a family member, and this is what she had to say.
D'Amico called me crying one night because he said Ashley admitted to him that she had slept with the light-skinned dude with dreads, and there's a possibility that Micaiah might not be his.
And what did you tell your brother, Miss Jackson?
I just told him to take a DNA test, which he said he tried to take one.
Ashley had, you know, faked the fallout, started crying, things like that, so we had to leave.
I drove up there. It was my car.
We had to leave, so.
At this point, I might actually have to side with Ms. Sales because his liars are starting to go through the roof. Anyway, the results are in. It's time we brought out the truth from both Ms. Sales and Mr. Jackson. This was the judge's verdict.
Mr. Jackson, you are the father.
Now I know who my baby daddy is.
Miss Sales, you don't have to do that. I don't run no circus, and I don't need no clowns.
I understand.
We're talking about a baby. She should know who you are.
She know who I am.
She don't need no side daddy. She needs the daddy that is going to be protecting her.
With the look on this guy's face, you could tell he was in court for some serious business. Mr. Harvey, the angry-looking guy, was upset because he claimed that the defendant, Ms. Jett, fooled him into buying baby supplies for a baby that he believes is not his. With so much anger in his heart, he opened his case like this.
Mr. Harvey, you are asking the court to award you $496.52 for baby supplies you say the defendant, Ms. Jett, demanded for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Jett, in response to Mr. Harvey's suit, you have petitioned the court for the results of a paternity test.
Yes, Your Honor.
He is your daughter's biological father and say it's time he steps up.
As I initially said, Mr. Harvey is beyond furious. But who gets pregnant after just 2 weeks of having sex. That does seem shady. When Mr. Harvey initially found out she was pregnant, as you would expect, he was pretty excited, being that he thought the child was his.
I was happy.
Because you thought it was your child?
Yes. After she found out she was pregnant, we stopped talking. She moved back to Orlando. She wrote.
Why'd you stop talking?
Because he was so sexually active with other women. He was cheating on me.
Okay, so there was a breakdown in the relationship,
yes,
and then it ended.
Yes.
So at some point you were living apart.
Yes.
To be honest, it's quite difficult to believe that these two were ever in a relationship. They can't seem to make a statement without yelling at each other. Ms. Jett told the judge that she had told Mr. Harvey to get things for the baby, but he didn't. Well, he had evidence to prove otherwise.
You need to make sure you bring me all of these things. 1, diapers, 2, baby wipes, 3, pacifiers, 4, bottles, and she need all this stuff before April. Bye.
Yes, I said that.
And this is all before the baby's born.
Yes, but
then you responded back.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow, she made such a long list and ended the text with bye? Tell me if this doesn't fit the shoes of a gold digger. Mr. Harvey deciding to buy all that stuff meant some part of him felt the child was his. How then did he get to this stage of having doubts? Well, here is your answer.
Okay, when I first met Sade, she got pregnant fast, and then we stopped talking. After she had the baby, she had told me the whole time she was pregnant, she was in a relationship.
Your Honor,
She said she was in a sexual relationship. That's one. And another thing is she had the baby and tagged the dude's name in the picture when the baby was first born. I got evidence for that.
Oh, the walls are closing in on Ms. Jett now. Who on earth does that? What's even more crazy about this situation is the fact that Mr. Harvey is not just accusing her of these things. He actually has facts to back up his accusations. Well, here's some of the evidence he said he had.
Why would you tag another man's name on your baby's photo?
I did not tag
She claimed that the dude out of nowhere tagged himself in it. And she doesn't know who he is.
By himself, and I never met him at all. And I actually have proof that I actually wrote the dude and I said, hey, my daughter dad thinks that you're her father because you tagged yourself in the picture. And he said, oh, I'm sorry.
Enough with the lies already, Ms. Jett. How's it possible that she has no idea about the posts on her Facebook? In trying to cover her ass and defend herself, she brought her own exhibit where she tried to explain all the things she did for her baby without Mr. Harvey.
Here's all the expenses that I've been taking care for of my daughter alone. He's suing me for $500. Her diapers is a little less than what he's suing me for. And plus her feeding is double that.
I'm suing you for what I got a receipt for.
Okay, but her diapers are close to what you're suing me for. Her diapers is dang near that money, $500.
Every time you needed diapers, you called me and I gave it to you. Whenever you needed something, every time she called me, I gave it to her, Your Honor.
You have to hand it to Mr. Harvey. He came prepared to fight Ms. Jett in this case. Now, Mr. Harvey told the judge that there was a time he went through Ms. Jett's phone, and the things he saw left him beyond speechless.
And then she had started going through my phone. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go through your phone too. So I go through her phone, right? She telling this dude, she said, you need to pay for this abortion.
No, I didn't.
And the whole time she was never pregnant. She told me she was pregnant for me, and then she telling some other dude he need to pay for abortion.
Your Honor.
So, Miss Jett, is this true?
No, he's lying.
Oh, now I'm lying.
So, Miss Jett, is it your contention that you were not intimate?
As if all the evidence Mr. Harvey had displayed was not enough, he brought his aunt to the courtroom to give her side of the story. Believe me when I tell you, she had quite a lot to say about the whole situation. She began like this.
All I know is that when she had the baby, looking at my nephew's other children, we have strong genes. And all his brothers look alike, his brother's kids look alike.
And I have
they have the same heads, and our family have big eyes. The baby that was in me, Xavier, and Xavier's family. His children look just alike from different moms. Everybody looks like the Harveys or the Highsmith. Baby has no genes of us at all. Head shape or anything.
Me, I have strong genes.
Well, that's my opinion.
Well, at least we know that Mr. Harvey is not the only one who thinks the baby is not his. Ms. Jett, on the other hand, also had a witness. Instead of an aunt, she came to the courtroom with her mom.
No, he hadn't met me, but you called me and told me my daughter is pregnant and how I shouldn't worry about you leaving.
I did not know Miss Kim until after the baby was born.
No, you didn't know me.
I didn't know her.
Oh, you called me. Don't sit up there and lie. You did call me.
I did not know her until after the baby was born.
Ms. Jett's mother sure doesn't like Mr. Harvey. Anyway, I think we have had enough of their shenanigans in the courtroom. Hopefully, the DNA test results will reveal the truth. When the results came in, this was the judge's verdict.
Mr. Harvey, you are not her father.
It's fine. That's fine. It's fine. Because I was in a relationship before I met him. I was in a relationship previous.
Oh, now you're in a relationship?
Before I met you, yes. But I was never pregnant.
Miss Jet, you so diplomatic now.
Because, no, listen, Your Honor, listen, Your Honor.
I just witnessed probably about 30 minutes of you taking this young man.
In this situation, Ms. Currington claimed that the defendant, Mr. Larson, a man who happens to be 20 years older than her, begged her to have a child with him. The moment she gave birth, Mr. Larson wanted nothing to do with the child anymore. She was in court to prove that the child was his, and she began like this.
It makes me feel pissed off, because we planned this baby.
You planned the baby?
Yes, we did.
What was said?
He wanted to have a baby by me, and that was that. And we kept trying and trying and trying.
And now that the baby's here, he denies the baby?
Yes, because I'm in another relationship.
Mr. Kim Larson, you deny this baby. You say this baby's not yours.
Yes, Honor. I can explain that to you. She's a player. She's unpredictable.
Mr. Larson seemed very surprised when she said they planned to have a child together, but who's telling the truth between the two of them? Now, while they were both arguing about who was telling the truth and who was lying, Mr. Larson's daughter took the floor and said this.
I know these types of women. They prey on men like this, like kind-hearted, very openly, and she took advantage of my dad. We don't even know if it's, if that's my dad's baby because she be messing around in the streets. So how are we supposed to know for sure if that's my dad's baby or not? So that's why we here.
I smell a gold-digging scheme coming up. Anyway, Judge Lauren decided to ask Ms. Currington how she ended up with someone who happened to be 25 years older than her. Well, this is how she explained the situation.
With a man that's almost 25 years older than you.
I met Ian at the hotel. He came in, he approached me and asked me if I seen his girlfriend at that time. And I said no, but I would help you look for her. So we walked in the hallways and knocked on bam on every door, okay?
What made you want to help him look for his girlfriend?
Because I was being nice at the time.
What did I say? A gold-digging scheme. It looks like what attracted Ms. Currington to Mr. Larson was his wealth. Now, Mr. Larson believed they had a beautiful relationship, but deep down, he had no idea Ms. Currington was after his money.
I decided to follow along, see how far she go with this.
Oh, you're saying you actually started to really fall in love, like thought you were having a real relationship.
Yeah, we got connected. I met her at the hotel. She approached me, and we just clicked. We developed a relationship, and
you approached me about your girlfriend at that time.
Oh yeah, I forgot, Honor. But anyway.
You forgot that girlfriend already?
Aha! So Ms. Currington was looking for a sugar daddy after all. That certainly makes things very interesting. But here's the catch. Even though he was looking for his girlfriend, he was very attracted to Ms. Currington.
I was attracted to her thickness.
Can't make this up. So that was true. She's not lying.
No.
So you said, Mr. Kim Larson, you told Ms. Currington, you say, ooh, you thick.
She moved at my place.
Within 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks, because we bonded.
I moved at his place 2 days later and drove his car after I met him at the hotel. He had me drive his car to his house.
Oh, so the cute car you saw him pull up in, he was letting you drive it?
Yes.
What's surprising about this situation is that Ms. Currington is not denying any of the allegations. She even seemed to be proud of herself for bagging a sugar daddy. Now, after she moved into Mr. Larson's house, things started to change. Let's just say Ms. Currington started
been calling me saying that she had multiple guys in my house. Whoever, I don't know what to believe.
Did you have other men at the house, Ms. Currington?
Yes, I did, but they was my cousins.
They were your cousins?
Yes, Your Honor.
So this were family members?
Yes.
And they were up in Mr. Larson's house?
Yes.
Without my knowledge, Honor.
Without your knowledge?
Yeah.
So at some point you find out you're pregnant?
Yes. I moved to Indiana.
To show her true nature, and Mr. Larson wasn't having any of it. Ms. Currington then went on to drop a truth bomb in the courtroom. She told the judge that while she was messing around with Mr. Larson, she had a one-night stand.
I just had a one-night stand.
She lied. Last time I checked, she was dating some old man. I don't know. He looked 40 to 50.
And I am still
years old.
But your dad is 40 to 50.
Yeah, but he older. I think. How is he either. I'm more mature than him.
What do you mean?
You call that mature?
So hold on, Miss Currington, you say there was a one-night stand.
Wow. It's even very difficult to point fingers in this situation because they are both guilty. While trying to explain the messy situation to the judge, Mr. Larson told her that, right from the beginning, he always had doubts about the baby, and this was why.
Because of the one-night stand, did you doubt that you could be Keora's biological father?
Yeah, I always had doubts during pregnancy.
Did you show up for the birth?
Yes,
he
Honor.
did.
Did you cut the umbilical cord?
Yes, Honor.
he did.
Between that time when she was pregnant, she was with this guy pretty much through the whole term.
And I'm still is.
Yeah,
Getting
she
married
still
too,
is.
September 1st.
I am so done with these guys. The only way out of this mess is to reveal the results of the DNA test. Well, let's see if Ms. Currington is actually trying to pin the baby on Mr. Larson.
Mr. Kim Larson, you are the father.
Dad. No. You already knew that.
That makes you emotional to hear, Mr. Kim Larson?
Yes, Honor.
And why is that?
I don't know how to explain.
You're happy that she's your little girl, or you're just happy you know the truth? What are you feeling?
I know the truth, Honor.
What is it you feel when you look at her?
I want to see her every day.
I hope you guys are ready, because this is a case like no other. Ms. Kingsbury was present in court to prove to the defendant, Mr. James, that he is the biological father of her child. Mr. James, on the other hand, claimed he could prove that the child was not his, and why he was not going to accept the baby. The case began like this.
Miss Kingsbury, you say you were in a romantic relationship with the defendant, Mr. James, and planned to have a child together, but when your 11-month-old son, Chance, was born, you are here to prove Mr. James is the biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. James, you say you had stopped. You say you can prove this is not your child with undeniable medical evidence. Is this correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Like I said, she wasn't happy that he was denying both her and the child. Now, Mr. James told the judge that they initially agreed to have a child, but their relationship, which began as a friendship, took an unexpected turn when they decided to have a child together.
You were a couple.
Staying with him.
In love, or you just staying with him, or you living
We were
with him?
in love with each other.
You were?
Yes, we were.
No.
What is your opinion of the relationship?
My opinion, Your Honor, is at first, yes, we did plan to have a baby. In relationship, it was fun, adventurous. I think I could count on her. She was supportive. That was the nature of a relationship at first.
That sounds like a lie right there. There's something fishy about the story. Mr. James is trying to sell to the judge. Moving on, Ms. Kingsbury went on to make a revelation, saying there was a time in her relationship when she lied to Mr. James and things started to change.
Tell him who took me. I lied about, I told him that it was my sister who took me, but it was a customer of mine. I asked him if he can give me a ride to work. I did what I had to do to get to work. I didn't have a way. I had to take my daughter all the way to the other side of town to her godmother, and I had to get to work. I paid the young man gas money. And another thing, when I was going to get my nails done, the young man was on his way to my house to get his money.
Let's just say Mr. James isn't so much of a forgiving man. Now, he went on to tell the judge that after she lied to him about the work ride, he started to hear rumors claiming that Ms. Kingsbury had entered not just one ride, but several rides when he was not around.
Yes, I heard rumors. My friends that stay in the neighborhood, they used to tell me that she used to get out of cars with her, whatever men these are, I don't know, her co-workers or like what she just explained her.
That's
her
hearsay.
customers.
He say, she say.
No.
He ain't never witnessed me get out of no car with nobody. Excuse me, the time that we were together, me and him spent all of our time together. You ain't never seen me get out of no car with no man.
At least she admitted to lying and told him about it. What more does he want? Or could there be more lies? Anyway, Mr. James went on to explain to the judge that he felt that due to the lie, he could no longer trust Ms. Kingsbury, and there was a high chance she was cheating on him.
Can lead to somebody cheating, and also if you lie, that can also lead to different like session or whatever, different sequence of your life that you can do those type of things.
So now, Ms. Kingsbury, he's saying that now you've started a pattern of lying. Is that true?
No, I told him one lie. I was at work. I was like, well, Kitty, I'm about to buy a pregnancy test. And he was like, well, let me know when you take it. I took the pregnancy test about 7:30 that evening.
I'm asleep. I'll call you back. I can't believe he said that to his pregnant girlfriend. This is where the situation gets very intense. Apparently, after Ms. Kingsbury told Mr. James that she was pregnant, she discovered that he had gotten someone else pregnant. This was what he had to say when the judge asked him,
At
the time Miss Kingsbury was pregnant, you had someone else pregnant as well?
Well, yeah, you can say that.
So you wasn't sleeping too much?
I was sleeping.
No,
I still was sleeping. But I wasn't talking to her at that time either, though.
Yes, he was.
At the
he
point
moved on after Thanksgiving when he was driving down the street in his car and yelled out the window, "That's why I got someone else pregnant."
Yeah.
Damn! Mr. James needs some ass whopping for saying that. When the baby was born, even after saying he got someone else pregnant, Mr. James was present at the hospital and even went on to sign the birth certificate.
Did you participate in the birth?
Yes.
You did?
Yes, I write down he was born.
He was.
But not her C-section, but when he was there, I was holding him. I seen him pee-pee.
He signed the birth certificate. He signed the birth certificate and everything. He did.
Because I thought that's the right thing to do.
Name.
Even though I had my doubts, as a person, I believe in God, whatever like that. I believe as a man,
the doubt is
responsibility.
At what point do you really have real doubt?
Mr. James might have a point though, but how sure is he that he doesn't have the sickle cell trait? The judge was not going to take any chances, so she brought in an expert who knew about the sickle cell trait. And this was the explanation she gave.
How is the sickle cell gene passed to a child from a parent?
Okay, the genes for sickle cell disease are very simple. You get a gene for hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the red stuff in the red blood cell, and that's sickle cell disease is a problem with hemoglobin. So you get a gene for hemoglobin on the sperm from the father, and you get a gene for hemoglobin from the egg on the mother, okay?
Well, since both of them refused to agree on who had the sickle cell trait, the judge decided to reveal the DNA results and find out who the father of the child actually was. This was the verdict she gave.
Mr. James.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are the father. That's your beautiful little boy. How do you feel? It feels good to know for sure?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize.